did not have to do me like that on there. He did not have to do me like that, Dr. Chapman. What do I say, Principal Kafele?
We finna go live.
Y'all don't talk like that up there. Y'all don't say we finna go.
No, we hear it, but we hear it when we go south.
Principal Kafele picked on me, y'all. He said, I'm gonna say like Dr. Chester said, we finna go live.
Yeah.
We're preparing to go live. We're getting ready to go.
No, we finna. It's all good.
We finna go live, y'all. That's it, right? Habari Ghani, everybody. Habari Ghani. It is the 6th night of Kwanzaa, right? It is the 6th night of the Kwanzaa celebration. You know, the celebration that we have been embarking upon for the last 4 years. And when I say we, Black Educators Rock. And so this is our 4th annual Kwanzaa celebration. And it is tonight. Tonight is night 6 of 7. You know, learning about the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles that was created by Dr. Maulana Karenga. I always said it backwards. Did I say it right? Maulana Karenga.
Yeah.
I was right. In 1966, to give us some type of grounding because we were losing our identities, to make us, you know, get regrounded. We had done a lot and been successful. And so he created these principles and we've done 5 of them. So far, we're on number 6. We talked about Umoja, unity, Kujichagulia, self-determination, Ujima, which is collective work and responsibility. Then we had Ujima, which is cooperative economics. Then we had Nia, which was purpose. And now we're at Kuumba, which is creativity. And so we're excited to be having a conversation tonight about ingenuity. We want to talk about innovation, right? Guys, we have been complaining about the same old problems. So we have to be innovative in solving the same old challenges, right? And so that is what creativity or Kuumba is about. And so we're going to be having that conversation in just a moment. So we're asking you all to go ahead and like, comment, and share. I'm going to do the same. It is on my page, gentlemen, so you can share from my page. It is also on the Black Educators Rock Facebook page and the Black Educators Rock YouTube page. So you can find us in all those places. So feel free to share it. And while we're doing that, I'm going to simultaneously talk again. I mentioned Black Educators Rock. Just want to remind you guys that we are so much more than a Facebook group, although that is where we were conceived. We were conceived in 2015 as a Facebook group. We grew to over 100,000 members in our Facebook group after about 90 days. We've been as many as 155,000. We're sitting at about 147,000 currently. And so our Facebook group made us start the nonprofit. The national nonprofit was started in January of 2016. We hosted our inaugural Rock Conference, July 2016. And Principal Kafele, who you guys see on the screen, was there. He was our keynote speaker for our inaugural conference. And he has been rocking, pun intended, with us ever since. And so we're getting ready for our 10th annual Rock Conference that is happening in Orlando, Florida, July 17th through the 20th. Orlando is where we actually hosted our first. And so for our 10th, we wanted to take it back home. And so we will be back in sunny Orlando. Come bring the babies. Go to Disney World after the conference on Sunday, right? And so we have some things lined up for you all. We always start with a mixer on Thursday night. And then Friday, we kick off the conference, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. The conference culminates with the Leadership Academy that Principal Kafele does, a half-day Leadership Academy that's included in the Rock Conference registration. And so, yeah, come see us in Orlando, Florida. Information coming at the top of the year. And so, yes. And so, again, we are here talking about Kwanzaa. And so I'm going to be joined by 3 gentlemen tonight. Hopefully, you guys have been watching Another Night and you've listened to some of these prolific leaders and thought-provoking leaders and learn some things as it relates to unity and self-determination and collective work and responsibility and cooperative economics and purpose. And so tonight, we're going to talk about where, the magic happens, creativity. And so excited to be having this conversation tonight. I'm joined by three gentlemen. Oh, lucky me. I got three of my favorites out there, three of my brothers. I don't know. Jamal might need to be my son. I don't know. That baby young, y'all. That baby 29. He's 29. Every time when he called me and said that, I'm sorry, y'all. I got to say this while he all scream. He gonna call me into my He went researching Kaumba because he was like, yeah, I've been listening all the nights and I can't let y'all sound like I got to sound. I said, you 29. We didn't sound like you when we were 29.
Yeah.
You sound like you're 29. We would sound so much better now. I was like, no, and we're all old enough to be your parent, except for One. You're the only one that's not One.
Just about.
Almost. Right? About. But that is a sharp gentleman. And so if you guys recall, he was on self-determination, Kuji Chagulia. That is Jamal Reimer. We'll let him introduce himself when he comes back. He is a financial advisor. He lost his sight at 17 and he thought he was going to go into the NFL. He had a whole plan for his life, had been receiving offers, but he ended up waking up and he was blind, literally like completely blind. And so at this juncture, he is working on his doctorate. I mentioned that he goes to conferences. He travels to and from conferences. He's presented at conferences. He's presented at the Rock Conference. He's come to Jacksonville to the conference. He presented in Houston to the little ones and to the educators at the Rock Conference in Houston. And so Jamal he's a whole force to be reckoned with. And so he's joining us tonight again from New York. And then we have Dr. One Chapman. Dr. One Chapman is someone who has been speaking for over 20 years. I found that out backstage. Hey, he ain't new to this. He true to this. He started in youth ministry. He is the author of, I think, about 22 books.
30
books. He has authored 30 books of his own. He speaks all across the country. He also is a member of Black Educators Rock. And he has the Young Gentlemen's Academy.
King's Gentleman School, yeah.
King Gentleman School, and he teaches young men how to be young men. And so, I know when he heard us talking last night about the youth and that was right up his alley because that's where he is. And so tonight he's going to be joining us to be talking about how can we use some of this creativity to assist in helping our youth. And so with that being said, the man that needs no introduction, really, he needs no introduction. If you're in the education world, you know who this is. For those of us who are in the space not from the education world, this is the one and only Baba, Principal Kafele, Principal Baruti Kafele. He is a former teacher, principal, and international consultant and speaker now. He's an icon. He's won every award you can think of in education. And so he's also my big brother, as I mentioned. And so he is going to talk to us a little bit. I know we've done the review. And so he's going to be doing that review tonight because he mentioned last night in the chat that he would also introduce us to the symbols. And so with that being said, we're going to turn it over to him. And then we're all going to get into this conversation. So Principal Kafele.
Oh, okay. Good sequence. Good evening, everybody. Habari Gani. And for those of you out there in the cyber world, the response is simply Kaumba. To be very formal with it is Kaumba, and then you give me a Habari Gani, and then I answer you Kaumba. So it's sort of an even exchange. Hey, folks out there, before I get started, just hit that share button for us. Hit that share, that retweet, that repost. Text somebody, tag somebody. Let them know we're here live talking Kwanzaa for an hour and a half, particularly Kaumba. I just wanted to talk a little bit about a little something. We talk about Kwanzaa a lot, but what we don't talk about as much, at least a lot of us, we don't talk about the origins in terms of where Kwanzaa came from. It didn't just pop up in the founder, Dr. Maulana Karenga's imagination in isolation. And we do talk about the Watts Rebellion, but there's even another piece that needs to be discussed, and that's called Kawaida philosophy. So before the Watts Rebellion, Dr. Karenga was working on this philosophy, a cultural, communal philosophy, which is very in depth. I'm not even going to go into it, but there's a whole book out here, Kawaida and Questions of Life, Kawaida and Questions of Life and Struggle by the founder of Kwanzaa, which was in 1966, Dr. Maulana Karenga. But since I'm in this mode outside of conversational, I do want to read a quick introduction just for the folks out there, because if you're really going to understand Kwanzaa, you've got to have some semblance of an understanding of Kawaida, because Kawaida is the foundation to Kwanzaa. Kwanzaa is an outgrowth of Kawaida philosophy. So real quick, he says in the intro, Kawaida is a communitarian African philosophy created in the context of the African-American liberation struggle and developed as an ongoing synthesis of the best of African thought and practice in a constant exchange with the world. Forged in the crucible of struggle in the 60s and continuously addressing both ongoing and new issues, Kawaida bears the tone and texture of an organization, US, which was Dr. Karenga's organization, and still is, and a movement engaged in intense ideological and practical struggle to change society and the way we think about and approach it in the world. It is constantly concerned with the interrelated issues which pose and frame the task of an ethical, grounded, empowered community, a just and good society, and a peaceful, just and good world. Here's what's key. Within that overarching framework, Kawaida can be understood in terms of 7 basic dual emphasis. So in other words, before the Nguzo Saba were these 7 basic dual emphases: philosophy and practice, number 1; culture and community, number 2; tradition and reason, number 3; dialogue and discovery, number 4; language and logic, number 5; critique and corrective, number 6; and finally synthesis and exchange within the world. Now that's a whole lot. This is a 270-page book. You can probably get it on Amazon, and that'll give you some further insight on what Kawaida is, toward a deeper understanding of what Kwanzaa is. But beyond that, I just wanted to show you some things without doing any real lecturing on them. This is my first Kwanzaa book. I've been celebrating Kwanzaa since 1984. I was 24 years old. And this was the first book I got. It's very thin, as you see. This one was published in 77, but there was one that he put out earlier, Dr. Karenga, in around 66, 67. So this I don't let anybody touch because it's out of print, so it stays right on the shelf, right? And then he followed up with this one, another Kwanzaa book. And this one I take pride in because he autographed it in 1988. I don't know if you can see that. There you go. He autographed that for me in 88. And then he's written a lot of books. I'm not going to show them all to you. But this one, Kemet, which means Egypt, African world and the African world view, which he autographed for me in 1990, right? And he always puts in unity and struggle. But then there's other books, the Hosea, ancient writings from ancient Kemet, the Book of Coming Forth by Day, book written by Dr. Malefi Asante, who created the first PhD program in Black Studies at Temple University. He wrote a book on Karenga. And lastly, the book I want to show you is this used to be my Bible. I don't really read this. I haven't read this lately, but there was a time I would just read it over and over. Introduction to Black Studies. This is a thick joint, right? It's about 500 pages. Yeah, 500 pages. Introduction to Black Studies, and this is a phenomenal book. But the difference between this one and the ones I showed you, this is an easier read, right? So if you worried about having to, because Dr. Karenga is very deep with language, so you need a thesaurus with some of his stuff. But this one you don't, right? It's an easy read, but it's a whole lot of pages. But I wanted you to at least know that some of this material is out here. You can probably go to Amazon, but better yet, you can go to Dr. Karenga's website. And just Google his name and the website will come up, and then you can get his material from there. But one more thing, and then I'm going to shut my mouth and we get into this conversation. You'll notice that I have some of the Kwanzaa display behind me. I don't have it all behind me, but I wanted to show you 3 symbols out of the 7. The first symbol, and I'm not going to take it, I'm not going to lift it up, but I'm going to point to it. It's a mat that the candle holder known as the Kanara is sitting upon. The mat is called the mkeka. So I want to show you this because the symbols, we talk about the principles a lot, but those symbols are very important as well, right? Because when we talk about the mkeka, the mat, for those of you out there that are seeing this live or who will see us later, that mat is the history and the culture of our people. That's what it symbolizes. That's the foundation, right? So when you set up a Kwanzaa display, everything sits on the mat. You don't have anything that's sitting elsewhere on a table. Everything sits on the mat because it sits on the tradition. It sits on the foundation. It sits on the history. It sits on the culture. So everything sits on that mat. So one of the things that always bugs me is when I go to a Kwanzaa program. Well, a lot of things bug me about Kwanzaa programs, but one of the things is when I go to a program and they have things sitting all over the display, all over the table. They got to sit on that mat. The other thing that bugs me is when the candles are out of sequence, or when they're being lit out of sequence. Because when you talk about tradition, well, we got to do things traditionally. We got to do it the way it's supposed to be done. And Jasmine Harris, I know you know this because Dr. Karenga was your professor, right? So yeah, we got to do things right. So if that's the way it was designed, that's the way it's got to be, right? So with the mkeka is the kinara sitting right on top of it. That's the candle holder, but it's what it represents. The candle holder represents our people, right? It represents our ancestors. So our ancestors sitting upon history, culture, tradition. But then the candles, pronounced the Mishu Masaba, right? They're sitting inside of the Kanara, which the seven, and they're representing the seven principles, the Nguzo Saba, these seven African values. So these values, you can look at them two ways. These values sitting inside the people, or the people producing these values. So either way, it's a win. But they coincide with the Kanara. So then you got the other symbols such as the Muhindi, which is the corn, which represents the children. You got the where we at? The Mishu, the Kikombe Cha Umoja, which represents the unity cup, the Zawadi, which represents the gifts, and the Mazal, which represents the fruit. And when we say the fruit, we're talking about the labor of our people. And then I'll close it here. Today, the 31st. This is a special day in Kwanzaa. This is the most special day in the 7 days of Kwanzaa. This is the day of the Karamu, right? This is the day of the feast. So this is the time, this is the day, instead of the typical New Year's Eve celebrations, this is the time when the community, the families, etc. We used to do it for years and somehow it escaped us, but we'll get back to it with the larger extended family. But this is the time that the family comes together, right? And just have that Kwanzaa feast going into the new year. So it will spill into midnight. And then there we are at New Year's Day, right? And then that's right into the last day, which is Imani faith. So I just wanted to drop that as a part of what we're doing. Maybe I'll repeat a little bit of it tomorrow. And then we jump into our conversation. Appreciate that, Doc.
Thank you, Principal Kafele, for that lesson. It's always good to learn more, to build on your learning.
Yeah.
So that was definitely building upon our learning. And so thank you. So the Makeka.
That's right. Mkeka.
That's the mat.
That's the mat.
The Kanara. That's the candle holder. And you said the candles are called?
The Mishu Masaba.
Mishu Masaba.
Mishu Ma means candles and Saba is 7.
Mishu Masaba. Got it.
And that's all Kiswahili, by the way. East African language.
Thank you. Well, thank you again for that, guys. So as we said, what we're here talking about tonight are these 7 principles. These values that were not just haphazardly created. They came with a lot of meditation, reflection, introspection, research by Dr. Karenga. Maulana Karenga, Dr. Karenga. It came with a lot. And so the goal is again to recenter during the 7 days, to realign, to come back to oneself, to reflect in order to get ready for the upcoming year, to go out to be intentional about and purposeful about your living. And so we've been having some great conversations. So really quickly, gentlemen, we'll run through the others and have just some quick conversation about, what we maybe took from either something that we heard from somebody on the Kwanzaa celebration, and or your own thoughts about it. And so we'll start with you, Dr. Renee. Unity. Starting with Unity, what was something that was like heavy for you, or enlightening, or gave you pause as it relates to Unity?
Oh well, I didn't get to tune into to those, so I'll just go right into tonight if that's.
No, no, no. You don't have to talk about those. Talk about what Unity is for you.
Oh, okay, yeah. So unity is everything, right? I believe everything is centered on that and around that, right? Especially getting into what we're going to discuss tonight, talking about that whole level of responsibility. Unity is intertwined with that, and how we all have that collective responsibility to make this community better than when we found it, right? And to me, that is done and can only be done through unity, right? There is no liberation without all of us being liberated. I oftentimes hear people talking as if that's going to be liberation of just one gender. No, no, no. There is no liberation without everyone being liberated. Can't just liberate the black woman without the black man. Can't just liberate the black man without the black woman. Can't just liberate the black child without the black father and the mother, right? It's all a part of that unity piece, right? And so all of that is important as we're talking about, especially tonight, this collective responsibility and how we view unity as not necessarily always having to agree upon everything, but can we walk in some type of uniformity, right? Can we agree on something, right? Can we? I mean, we don't disagree on everything, so can we come together on something to push this thing forward? And so that's what I think about when I think about unity.
Appreciate that, Jamal. Something you took
Is
away
that
from?
me? Yeah, I think that's me. I can't hear.
It's you now. Can you hear me, Jamal?
Uh-oh.
Technical difficulties, Jamal. He pushed something and muted himself. So I'm going to go to you, the Principal Kafele. I'm going to go to you.
Yeah. Unity, Umoja. It's just to dovetail on Dr. Chapman, it's everything, man. And as you said, Doc Chapman, you don't have to have uniformity to have unity. We gonna disagree. We're gonna see the world through different lenses. We're gonna see the world differently, different perspectives, different religions, different cultures, and I can go on and on. But it doesn't mean that we can't come together as a people, right? And I don't really have to talk about that in a broad sense of the 40 million, or even looking at the diaspora. We can talk about that just in terms of a household, right? Is there unity within the walls of one's home, right? And if not, then it's very difficult for one to speak intelligently about unity in terms of the broader family, and you haven't taken care of business in your own household, right? So unity, and you think about Kwanzaa, what it is, the celebration of the Black family first, right? The Black community, Black culture, right? But Dr. Karenga said first and foremost, the Black family, right? So where we got to put our attention first and foremost is the family, right? Then we can start talking about our block, right? Then we can start talking about our neighborhood, etc., right? But if you coming out here trying to effectuate change in the city, in the neighborhood, but then you go on home to dysfunction, then I don't know.
Right.
I just don't know how much of an asset you can really be, right?
Yeah.
So that's significant. But again, and Amiri Baraka, who Dr. Karenga named, his son is the mayor of Newark, Raz Baraka. He always talked about about the fact that we don't have to have uniformity, right? Unity without uniformity. I mean, it's got to be common sense with us, but it's at the end of the day, it's a good thing when we can come together and collaborate with one another, regardless of perspective.
Yeah.
Right. Thank y'all. Thank y'all. Jamal, we just testing. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. So we're gonna go to self-determination. We know that's the one that you Coochie Chocolate. We just, giving our reflection on the principles really quickly. And so giving you self-determination, anything you want to add or say or share as it relates to Coochie Chocolate and self-determination?
Well, self-determination is everything, especially in our community. You have to be determined in order to get to the next level in life. But when you Black in this American country, you're gonna go through more obstacles in life, and you have to be determined, because when you trying to get to the next level in corporate America, they're gonna look at you and they're gonna discriminate against you. So you got to get through that mental barrier and be self-determined to rise, and not just for yourself, for your family, for your community. It's just, especially when, even if you have a disability, you have to be self-determined in order to motivate yourself to get past the mental barriers in life. Yeah, self-determination. Yeah, if you're not self-determined, you're not gonna go anywhere.
And I don't know if you all know, but
Yeah.
are here with us on when Jamal was on. I think this is Wednesday. Was that Monday, Jamal, you were on with me? No, Saturday.
I think like Saturday.
But yeah, Jamal is blind. He's visually impaired. He's blind. He doesn't see, completely blind. He went blind at 17, right? But he lives in this world as if he isn't. And one thing that stood out to me for self-determination, anytime I think about self-determination, I think about, when I asked him and the guests, do they ever think about giving up? And Jamal honestly and powerfully responded, Principal Kafele, every day. Yeah. But he still keeps going. Yeah. Right? This is somebody who maneuvers in our world as if he can see. When we get to talking about creativity, talking about Kaumba, matter of fact, I listen.
You got that third eye.
He moves.
Yeah.
Intention and purpose at 29, and he's blind. And so I can't wait to get there. So whenever I think about self-determination, I think about you, Jamal, just so you know. I mean, nobody to me can have an excuse. I can't even want to get sad and act like I'm down. When I reflect on who you are and what you've gone through. And so moving on to that next one.
Hey, Jamal, looking forward to meeting you in Orlando.
Yes.
Vice versa.
Yes, sir.
Well, Principal Kafele, you're going to be in California.
Oh, he's going to be there?
I'm going to be there.
Oh, well, all right, well, I'm going to be doing the keynote. You get there early and get a front seat.
That sounds like a plan.
Yeah. I told you he moved around. He be outside. He be in these streets.
Yeah, that's all right. I didn't know you was coming to Los Angeles. Yeah, I see you there.
So, Principal Kafele, I want you to take. I'm gonna let you take Ujima, Dr. One, and Principal Kafele, you're gonna take Ujima. Yeah. I'm sorry, Ujima. So, Dr. Chapman, what is your thing for collective work and responsibility? What's your takeaway? What's your
Oh man, listen. If we could get that one, right, oh my God, what could we really do? It's amazing to be on with a person who you said has no sight, but he has insight. Right? But then you take people that have sight and they have no insight, right? They can see but have no insight. And so when you're talking about collective, how we're supposed to be working as a collective, if we could get that one right, man, we could change the world, because that seems to be the one that totally hinders us and hinders, us from moving forward. Because when we come together, man, we trip over the smallest stuff. We allow the smallest stuff to break us up.
Well, that's the lack of unity. That's the lack of unity.
Yeah, we allow just the smallest things, the smallest petty arguments, to keep us from working together. It's almost like when we come together, somebody is looking for something small, that they can take outside and be like, this is why I'm not gonna work with y'all, right? They come already looking for a reason to be divided.
Yeah.
You know, and so if we could get that one, man, we could go a long ways.
I agree. I know Principal Kafele, you burned to say something to that one too, aren't you? I can tell
Yeah,
you.
no, I'm with them. You know, it's ridiculous, but that's but you know my word. I used it probably every one of these broadcasts. It would show up in the thread by me typing, and the word is consciousness. You know, when there's no consciousness of who we are, then we lack centeredness in who we are, right? So, but the consciousness, like I remember the discussion you all were having last night, and you were spot on. It's not going to just appear. It doesn't just come out of. And when I say spot on, I'm talking about you, Dr. Chester. You were spot on, and when you made the argument that, well, we can't expect someone to just become conscious, right? It's got to be, on the one hand, education, and on the other hand, exposure, right? So if I don't have the exposure to my culture, to my history, if I don't have the enlightenment or the education as it relates to my culture and my history, you can't expect me to walk out here in the world and be conscious. See, one can come out of a family, and that family is grounded in consciousness, right? So now, because I'm a product of a family that's grounded in consciousness, there's certain values that there's a higher probability anyway that I'm going to bring certain values that someone else who's not grounded is not going to bring, right? So that piece is critical. You know, in contemporary times, this word woke came on the scene, and it came out of us, but it became something else. So when it became something else, I said, well, I don't want any more parts of it. And I fell back on what we used in what, I don't want to say we for the 70s, but what we use I'm not part of, I'm here, but I ain't there. Right. But in the 80s now, I'm in it. I'm in it heavy as terms of my consciousness. So with that consciousness, it allowed me to move in certain directions that I would not have moved in if it wasn't there. So that consciousness is critical in terms of just having that African-centered value system. And a part of that African-centered value system is, in fact, the Nguzo Saba. But our children, since we're an education Facebook group and conference and organization, young people got to be properly educated.
Amen.
I wrote it in the thread last night. Dr. Amos Wilson said it best, that we're the only people that send our children to our oppressor to be educated. Dr. John Henry Clark said the same, right? That no one else does that. But we have an expectation that our historical oppressor is going to properly educate our children. It's not going to happen. And I don't have to put that solely in a basket of this is the enemy in terms of people who may think that way. I can say that this non-African American people or non-African people could be people who are ill prepared to work with our children due to differences in culture, etc. Right? So last night you all were talking about the need for more Black educators, more Black men, etc. I think that came up a few nights, and it is. But then I threw in that word. I don't, because I was a principal for 14 years. I've hired Black men that I asked to leave rapidly, right? Because rapidly. Like this ain't for you. You ain't built for this, because I can't have you coming in there and you acting like the oppressor. If you're going to be in there, I need you to bring a level of consciousness, or at least allow me to teach you, allow me to educate you, allow me to lead you, allow me to enlighten you. But if you're going to resist me because you stuck in your ways, right? And now you treating these kids as if they're the problem, then I don't need you. So I'm gonna try to change you. But once I've discerned that you resist change, then I'm going to start writing up your exit plan so that you can go and do something else, and I can find someone else. And that someone else might not even be Black, but they may be able to do the job in a way that you can't do it. or refuse to do it.
Yeah, I can agree with that, but I just want to say we need more black people in every field, not just education, but the education is the first step. But in every field, like I'm working on my PhD in finance. I'm trying to open my own hedge fund in a couple years. All these rooms I go in is all white people. Like, if we talk about education, we don't see black. I never had a black teacher in elementary school, middle school. This is when I could see middle school, even high school. And now I can't see, and I'm still going into these rooms, and I don't see no black people in finance. Like, it's like if we don't see people doing these things, how are we supposed to aspire to be these things? Like, we aspire to be these basketball players and these rappers and so forth because that's what we see winning. That's our color. I can't see nothing no more, so I'm going for something bigger. But a lot of our kids, right? We see it, or they see it, so they want to be it. If they don't see us successful in other fields, how they gonna believe they could get to these other fields?
Well, you know, Onay wrote a whole book about what you just said. What was backboards and what's the name of the book?
Yeah, backboards over books.
Yeah.
Why black boys love sports but hate school. Yeah.
So collective work and responsibility, that was what we were talking about, you know, which goes right into that cooperative economics. We've talked about why we can't work together. Dr. Youngale, he put something in the chat around that. He talked about, you know, it's hard for us because of cooperation. He said it's easier to find a reason not to work together. Cooperation is difficult when you don't seek advancement or to better your situation.
Mm-hmm.
Goes back to, you know, makes me think about when I have been saying all week too, Principle of Failure, about most people come to a collective, but you come to a collective to withdraw. Most people, you know, you do your different organizations and groups and nonprofits and, you know, et cetera, whatever they may be, sororities, fraternities, Masons, Stars, Urban League, NAA, whatever you're doing, these different things that you're doing, a lot of people do them, but they're doing them, Jamal, they're doing them, Dr. Onay, they're doing them, Principal Kafele, only to withdraw from them. So they're not adding to it, right? So we have to have like a mental shift of, okay, I'm in this space to improve it and to make it better, because I know when that happens, you know, it's automatically going to flow back to me. And I think, I don't know, like Dr. Youngale said, I don't know why it's so difficult for us to, you know, not try to be looking for the come up, not looking to be the one that wins, and just being okay. I can say with confidence, anyone that knows me, that truly knows me, that has spent time with me, has been in a space with me, knows that I am the one that is going to edify, uplift, try to connect, try to put them in position, open doors, etc. for anyone who is in my space. That's who I am. And I'm not doing it for, I don't ask for anything in return. I don't look for anything. I enter spaces often saying, how can I connect this person to that person? Who can I? It's never ever about me. And that's a centering that is intentional. And it's something that I know, like I said, is based out of my true values. And I don't know how we as a collective get there. How do we make those shifts? But we have to make them, and we have to make them in large numbers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
So purpose was last night. What did you guys think about purpose?
Good. Anybody?
Purpose was last night.
I'll jump in. Y'all, unless somebody wants to go, y'all being quiet. Let me
Jump in there.
Yeah, you know that my I think about the Nguzo Saba literally every day. There's not a day in my life that I don't think about it. One of the reasons is because we keep the display up 365, right? It's we don't we don't put it away when Kwanzaa's over, right? It sits right over on the shelf over here, and we got it all set up. So I see that Kanara, I see those candles, the Mission Masaba, I see it every day. So it forces me, even subliminally, to think about these 7 principles. So the second one, Kuji Chagalia, self-determination, and the 5th, Nia, purpose, those are my favorite 2. and there's an interconnection between the two. I know that Dr. Karenga created all 7 principles in terms of the collective, but I can't help but personalize both of them, right? So when I think about me as an individual, self-determination, I'm literally looking at self as opposed to the collective self, and what am I doing literally today to take my work to a new level? What am I doing today to take me personally, forget about professional now, just me personally to another level? Like, in other words, I literally challenge myself, and I think I'm preaching to whomever's going to see this. I'm challenging myself every day to be better than I was yesterday, right? Personally and professionally. What can I do next to outshine who I was yesterday? Not for the public, though. That's just for this dude right here in this spirit. That's all that's for. So then you look at purpose, and it just takes me back to my reason, my because, my why, right? Like what is it? What why? So so we talk about, and we were talking about this on the Saturday Academy one day. It's like we talk about our why, our purpose in living, our purpose for what we do. But then a deeper question is, why do we exist, right? God created us for what reason? And I'm thinking about that all the time, and I want to walk in it. But giving it that kind of thought keeps me from making mistakes, right? Keeps me from doing things that I have no business doing, because I'm so locked in to why I'm here. Right? It's like, if I could venture off just slightly, it's like one's brand, right? I like to think that brand is not confined to businesses and companies and all that kind of stuff. We have a personal brand identity. And I would hate, and I'm not talking about the professional side now. I'm talking about the personal side. I would hate to go out into the world, to go through my front door and violate my brand, my personal brand, because I didn't protect it, right? See, like, I got a home, I got a car, I got a wife, I got a family. I protect that. Well, and I'll protect it with my life. I don't mind saying publicly, I'll take a bullet for these 4. Right. And I'll add my mother in there too. I will take a bullet for my kids and my wife and my mom. Right. So I'll protect them with my life. But I always say, and I'll stop at this, we must protect our brand with the same level of intensity. Why would you spend a lifetime developing yourself to become whatever and then go out in a split second and compromise it, violate it in a split second? We see it with the celebrities because they get publicized. So you've been building and building and building, and then you, for a split second, you went left when you should have gone right, and you are done. We see it. So I'm couching that in this word purpose, right? That you can't just talk purpose because it sounds good. You got to be locked in. So you're walking in it regularly. So that when stuff arises, you know you got to go the right way, because you don't want to sabotage, undermine your own brand, your own purpose for existing. I'm done.
Yeah. I mean, that's something to think about. That's something to ponder on, and it just makes me wonder. Like you said, I think you've said it. Others have said it. That's when you have to have an identity, though. You have to know who you are. You have to know what you are, whose you are. All of that has to be. You have to be able to answer that.
Yep.
And so that way, you will know that you can't mess up what it is that you say that you are.
Yeah, that's right. Let me give you this example real quick. We, the 3 of us, except for Jamal. Oh man, wait, keep that name up there. Don't let that one go. That's one of my former students, right? She calls me dad. I'm surprised she didn't put that on there, right? But that's one of my former students from high school days at North Tech. I think she was the class of 2008, if I'm not mistaken. But we still connected. I see you, Chrissy Nicole. It's always a joy when the former students pop up. Now, it's one thing when they pop up on my platform, but when they pop up on somebody else's platform, man, that speaks volumes about who I must have been as a principal, as an educator, man. I appreciate you, Chrissy Nicole. You know, she made me forget my whole train of thought. Yeah. So the three of us were at NAPSI, right? And I'm gonna just use NAPSI as a quick example. I'm there because whatever conference. I'm just saying NAPSI because that's the last one we were at together.
Right.
And I must have taken, if I could be literal, I must have taken at least 100 pictures that day. And I think I'm being conservative because I took them from the moment I walked off of the elevator until I left to jump in an Uber, right? So all day long. Now I'm saying that I'm bringing this up for this reason. This is not to pat me on the back. It's to say this. I've seen people who get tired of that and will brush people off. But that taking those pictures is a part of my identity. How dare me say to a person, I gotta run. I can't do it. I spoke in San Diego a few years at a counselor's conference. I said to the folks during the keynote, listen, I have a flight an hour after the breakout, literally. I said, so we weren't far from the airport. I said, I gotta rush to the airport. They said, okay, cool. I did the keynote. It felt like the entire room came to my breakout session. It was standing room only, right? They sitting on the floor. So now I said, like around 5 minutes before it was over, lady said to me, you know, you gotta go. You can leave now. I said, no, I'm gonna finish. So I finished. I grabbed my stuff and I'm walking down the aisle. One person said, Kafele, can I get a quick picture as you leaving? I'm like, yeah, come on. So we took the picture. Then someone saw that. Can I get one too? Yeah, let's go. A third person, they saw it. Can I get one? Yeah, come on. So now a line formed all the way out the door. The lady said, you got to go. I said, I'm not leaving. She said, but your flight's going to leave. I swear to God, I'm telling you the truth. I said, let it leave. I had to be in Detroit. I was in San Diego. I said, let it leave. I'm not saying no to nobody in this room because that's my purpose. That's my brand. That's my identity. That's who I am. I got to walk in that. So now I'm taking picture. I heard that plane flying over the convention center, right? So now I go to the parking lot. It said no more flights out of San Diego tonight to get to Detroit, right? I'm under contract. I had to be there the next day. But I found a flight in LA, a red eye, to get me to DTW, Detroit International, or Wayne, whatever they call it, Detroit Wayne International. I got there at 7 a.m. and I got to the place at 8. I'm saying that to say that when you bring a certain purpose and brand identity, it yields expectation. And when you can't come through, you can't deliver, then people start looking at you funny. And then they start talking.
Expectation.
Yeah, brand yields expectation. So if I go somewhere where it's famous people, right? And I've been in the I ain't gonna drop no names, but I saw something on Instagram today, but I ain't gonna tell you the name. It's someone that I really admire, a celebrity, and the person came out of Madison Square Garden. And the people were trying to like get the person's attention, and they brushing the people off. And me and my wife looked at that, and I said, "Nah, man, that's not cool, man. Like you ain't got to sit there and take pictures and sign autographs, but at least smile." So let me stop, man. But that's just where I'm at with that.
Let me add one thing on purpose, though.
Yes, sir.
That's funny. I think people also have to be mentally tough enough to understand sometimes their purpose can change in life as well, and be mentally tough enough to drop it and get to the next move. Like at one point in my life, before I woke up blind, I thought my purpose was to play football. I thought my purpose was to you know, be a giant. But when I woke up blind,
keep it a giant though.
that's funny.
We don't do jets around here.
When I woke up blind, I had to switch it up. I had to figure out my new purpose. I had to be mentally tough enough to get back up. I had to be mentally tough enough to accept the new world of darkness. I had to be mentally tough enough to find a new purpose in life.
Yeah.
So a lot of people gotta understand that sometimes you might think your purpose is one thing, but it's really another thing. Because look at my purpose now. I'm on a call with you guys. You understand what I'm saying?
That's right.
So sometimes you might think you go in one place when the journey is going to take you another place. And you just got to understand that the journey is going to take you anywhere. So you just got to enjoy the journey as you're walking through it.
That's right. Buckle up. Good stuff.
Go ahead. Yeah. So this lends us into creativity, y'all. Creativity. Breaking out of established patterns in order to look at things in a different way. And so I posted earlier today, I talked about that. I talked about the fact that, it's the same problems. We got the same issues, Dr. O'Neill. The issues ain't changed. Who was I speaking to earlier today? And then we were talking, was it Terrence who was going to be on tomorrow? And we were talking, it was somebody I was talking to. We were like, we had the same stuff. We had bullying, we had alcohol and drugs. We had the stuff. We had the same stuff. But the difference was, we were on the live last night. That's where we were. The difference is, though, that we had villages. We had neighbors and teachers and principals and family members, big mamas and aunties and different people who also lent a hand, right? They lent the hand. They lent the hand. They ain't talk about it. They ain't discuss it. If they discuss it amongst themselves. But it wasn't this big thing. It was part of the village. It's part of the collective. It's part of what's necessary for us to win, right? Because this ultimately is about us. And so we've gotten away from that. And we got to figure out how to get back to that thought process. And in today's day, with the technology and the access and the resources, there is no way we cannot be innovative about impacting our babies in order to make our world better. And so in order to make our communities and villages and et cetera better. And so that's where we are now, guys. We're on Kaumba. Talk to me.
Kaumba. Go ahead, somebody. I'll go last.
This one is actually my favorite one. And it's my favorite one because it's attached to responsibility. And the reason I'm saying responsibility is my favorite one is because responsibility is what we all try to skirt. It's what we all try to get out of, right? And so when you're talking about creativity linked to responsibility, it's not talent based. Because a lot of times when it comes down to collective responsibility, people are saying, well, I don't have a PhD. I can't do the work. No. You don't need a PhD to help your community. I don't have a master's. No. You don't need a master's degree to help your community. I don't have a bachelor's. You don't need a bachelor's. You don't even need a GED, right? You don't need to go to Harvard. You need to go to Yale. You need to go to all these places to help your community. Responsibility is about courage. Do you have the courage to say, I want to leave my community better than I found it? That's not based upon if you're gifted or not. That's not based upon if you bring certain types of talents, right? Because it's so easy for people to be like, I can't do like Kafele. I can't be like Dr. Chester. I can't be like Brother Jamal in finance. Nobody's asking you to. They're simply asking you, do you have the courage to leave the place in which you reside better than you found it? Right? And that is critical because that allows that what that does is that keeps people from making excuses. That keeps people out of it. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of 20% of people doing 80% of the work, right? And then we burn those 20% out while the 80% sit back and rely on those 20, and then we burn those 20% out. And then we sit back and point fingers saying, why is nobody doing anything? Well, you burnt the people out who were really about to work while you sit back and did nothing, right? So that's why I love tonight creativity, linked to responsibility because it does not allow you to skirt. It does not allow you to get around doing the work. Listen, a lot of time I think about how people come to me and be like, hey, we see you got the young kings. When you gonna do something for girls?
Always. It's always you do something, girl. Why?
Man, I'm out here in the trenches working as hard as I can for these boys. You asking me, when am I gonna do something for girls instead of you doing it? So the creator told you to do it, but you want to put it on my shoulders. While I'm trying to help all these boys, you want me to also jump in here and work with the girls, right? When you should be doing that, right? So even in my presentation, I have a slide called "Don't Wait, Create." Don't wait, create. The reason I write books is I got tired of going in schools and not seeing books that look like our children. And what I'm saying is, if you're the expert in the room, you know, I mean, we got all these doctors, right? But the community's still sick. How do we have thousands and thousands of doctors, but we're still sick? Because we won't create. We won't create the material that we need. We won't put forth the things that we need to get out there to our own children. We're sitting back waiting for a school system to teach our children their history.
Huh. Like we said earlier, you wait on the oppressor to educate your babies. Like, it's amazing. I don't know. I said it last night. We waiting on Superman, and still he ain't coming. We know what to do. We know what we've done it.
Oh, right? So what did you create that made life better for somebody else is the question. That is the key question that everybody has to answer. What did you create that made life better for somebody else? Are you willing to plant shade trees you may never receive shade from? But are you still willing to put that seed in the ground, knowing that your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren will sit under that tree one day, right? But we become so selfish being in America, we operate with this individual mindset. It's all about, I got to get the bag. I got to get the bag. I got to get the bag. Well, I mean, who's going to teach the children? Everybody on the bag chase, right? And so this is interesting. So this is why this is my favorite one, because it doesn't allow anybody to skirt. It doesn't allow anybody to create excuses, because you don't have to be talented to take responsibility. You don't need a PhD to be responsible. You don't need a master's to be responsible. You need courage.
Love it. Love it. Go ahead, Jamal.
Oh, y'all got me in the blender. That's funny. So, all right. So let's talk about creativity. In my opinion, if you creative enough to figure out your situation, how to get yourself out your situation, then you creative enough to make an imprint on this world. You see, you got to save yourself before you save everybody else. But I think it's more of like you have to be willing to help the collective as well. You see, if you become a millionaire, you got to be able to teach the kids how to become millionaires as well. You see, I think the trap in poverty, you see, we stuck in the cycle of poverty that we don't know how to get out of it. Well, we could teach the kids how to get out of it, teach the kids how to invest, teach the kids, if you can invest your money, get a high rate of return, then you can invest into the community. And instead of renting these buildings, we could own the buildings, right? A lot of people talk about the hood. I grew up in the hood. It's the people in it. It's the mindset of it. So if you're creative enough to change your mindset, you could change your mindset. You could change your surroundings, change your environment. You change your environment, you could change your life. And if you could change your life, you could change the life of others.
That's right. That's right.
You change the life of others. But you got to take the responsibility to understand where you at, right? Do the work on yourself to get to the next level. Grow yourself. Get yourself out the situation, then you could grow in others. A lot of people in our community don't want to come back. Once they become successful, they leave and never come back. But we got to see the successes in order to believe we all could be a success in every field, not just education. Education starts it off because we got to teach the kids, but we could win in every field. Every field that we at least get a door in, we take over. If you see it, it's one or two of us, but that one or two is usually at the top.
Yeah, you're right. Nothing you said is wrong. It's self-determination. Coochie chocolate. Like you said, you have to have the courage, right? But you got to take care of you. You got to make sure you're bringing a whole person to the collective, even if you're not. Bring the good parts of you, right? Because there are good parts to all of us, and so even when we're dealing with different things, because Mr. Fele started earlier saying, you as the family, your house can't be messed up, don't have no unity, and you trying to come outside and have unity. That goes for all the principles. You gotta, it's gonna be exemplified in you personally, and then you're going to, because you are about unity and the collective, you're going to give that information. You're going to sow those treasures and talents into your community, right? And that's what it takes. Because again, these babies, we're not giving them nothing, y'all. We're not leaving them nothing. We're not leaving them nothing. And it's on us to start building them up strong. And so let's get to it. Let's get to it. That's right, Dr. Keisha Keith, my soror, and she's a therapist. She says you got to take care of you. You got to take care of you. So yes, good conversation, y'all. Good conversation.
Kaumba.
Kaumba.
Let me jump in here. Let me. I want to go way back. To the, when is it, 80s and 90s, when I was in the classroom as a teacher. And I share this pretty frequently when I'm in settings like this, because Kaumba, creativity, is so important in a classroom. You know, if I'm teacher and I'm not bringing the creativity in terms of what it is that I can do differently to connect with young people versus the status quo, right? So here I was in the classroom, this young skinny guy with an afro and wearing my African garb every day. And I said, what can I do to elevate the consciousness of these fifth graders? That's what I taught during my years of teaching. And I said, well, at the core, even though there's no curriculum to support it, probably don't have administration to support it, but if I can develop a close bond with the students, when I close that door, I can do anything that I want to do because they're going to be loyal to me. So I said, well, let me, while I'm teaching social studies, while I'm teaching science, while I'm teaching math, while I'm teaching language arts, let me infuse their story, their history into what we're doing. So that's what we did in the name of Kaumba, creativity. So the results spoke for themselves because we're outperforming everybody, right? And the question was why, how? And I said, because we're doing something that you're not doing. What's that, Kafele? I'm teaching the kids who they are in order to teach them the mathematics, the science, the social studies, the language arts, right? So that's on the one hand. But then I said, let me take it a step further. And I taught them everything there was to know about Kwanzaa, right? So they're learning, because I want them to live the Nguzo Saba. So we never had class, and this is including when I was a principal, there'll be no teaching until the Nguzo Saba is recited by the entire building. That's every day in public school, right? That's every day, right? But as a teacher, because that's where I want to focus on for now. It was the same thing. So we're gonna go through the 7 principles, but we're also gonna go through African proverbs, right? We'll have a proverb of the day. But then I said, all right, by then I had written my first 3 books, right? So their teacher is a published author. I said, okay, let me make them published authors. So I want to show you this. We this book, let me see if I can get it. There we go. My history and culture are extremely important to me. Ashland School, Baruti Kafele, and the principal's name on the bottom. So in other words, every student has a page in this book. Every student. So they wrote an essay. I found this printer in Newark, and she printed copies. I taught the entire 5th grade. So I had about 125 kids. So not in one period, obviously. And every student got a copy. This is the first year in a lot of years that I didn't post these books. I still got tomorrow to do it. And when I do, those kids are now in their 40s. and they will reach out to me. You still got a copy, Mr. Kafele? Because I lost mine. But they had such pride in seeing their names on their page of a book they wrote that was published. So I said, okay, well, let's go further. The 7 Principles of Kwanzaa. So now I said, pick your favorite principle and write about it. And I gave them criteria. I said, I want you to tell me their importance, making them a part of you, and making them work in your community. We're talking Kaumba, right? So now I'm teaching subjects, I'm teaching content, but I'm infusing it with this. So this went over huge. Parents loved it, community loved it. We had it in the newspapers, all that kind of thing. So I said, okay, let's go further. The next year, let's just talk about Umoja. Right. So then so every student talked about Umoja in terms of why it's important, how it will work, how I'll make it a part of me, and how I'll make it work in my community. Then I said, all right, then next year, Chagalia. Right? Yeah. And we would have gone the entire Nguzo Saba, but this one is dated 96, 97. In 97 of January 97, I was sitting in a school as the new assistant principal mid-year. So it stopped then. So when I became a principal in January 98, I mean. So I became a principal in 99. And then we picked it up, but it looked different. But we're doing a lot of things. But the point I'm making is the creativity, right? Doing things different. Let me just add this in here since we're talking creativity, and I know educators will see this. I convinced the superintendent when I became principal a year after that AP year to allow me, and I'll use this language, to Africanize the entire school. That's creativity again. He said, what do you mean? This is in East Orange, New Jersey. I said, Doc, you created a magnet school district. We are the school of science and technology. I said, right now, from what I see when I was AP, because I became principal in the same school, I said, that is so abstract right now. Allow me to add a magnet to the 2 existing magnets of science and technology. He said, what you want to do? I said, I wanted to become the school, Sojourner Truth Middle School, the School of Science, Technology, and African-Centered Studies, right? So he was like, explain that to me. And I told him, I said, I want to take, let me get this book. I said, I want to take this book. It's called Journey to Liberation, African-American History, written by Dr. Malefi Asante. This is the best textbook ever written for junior high and high school age students. College students use it as well in terms of African-American history. I said, I want to make this standard text, Doc, right? In the electives that I created. The board approved it. We made it standard text. We talking Kaumba, y'all. I went on and I literally wrote this curriculum. Sojourner Truth Middle School Curriculum Guide, African American History 1 and 2. Let me tell y'all something. When I convincing of the superintendent, because I had to sell it. I said, Doc, if you allow me to do this, we will be the #1 school in this district at the middle school level. We were not only #1 at the middle school level in East Orange, we were #1 in the entire state of New Jersey of schools of comparable demographics. So now here come the questions again. How? I said, because I wrote a curriculum that spoke to this entire school. You know, we East Orange, we're one of the blackest school districts, cities, I should say, in America. Right, 3.9 square miles, little city like Compton, but yet everybody's black, and so many famous people come out of there, and you know them all: Dionne Warwick, Queen Latifah, Naughty by Nature, John Amos. I can go on and on, right? But the bottom line, creativity, Kaumba. I'm putting forth material where ultimately the children are seeing themselves in the learning. But one more thing, because I didn't stop there. I'm bringing top name professors. I'm bringing Sister Soldier to the school. She in my auditorium. I'm bringing Dr.
They let you do it. That's some bold leadership you had.
Yeah. I brought up Dr. Leonard Jeffries, who's known in these parts. I know Nate knows who he is, and countless other professors to come and speak to 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. So I got 800 kids sitting there like this, just taking it in, not all acting wild and talking. Hey, sit up. Hey, wake up. We ain't doing that, because we created a culture, and that culture was African-centered. So therefore, the children were absorbing the information, whether it be the curriculum, whether it be the lectures we bring it in, whether it be the places that we took them. I took my kids to the Audubon Ballroom. Now, someone might say, what is that? That's where it's a museum. It's where Malcolm was assassinated. I took my kids there. I even took my North Tech kids there, the high school students, to the Audubon Ballroom. So and so many other places. So in other words, as I said back at 8 o'clock, I said education and exposure. See, those are my two words: education, and I could add the third one, enlightenment, exposure. As we're giving them that exposure, I was able see. I'm able to prove. I promise I'm getting ready to shut up. I'm able to prove beyond the shadow of a doubt. See, some of us talk this stuff as in theory. Like if we expose the children to their history, but they don't really know that. They don't have the evidence. It just makes sense.
Well, then that's when they got to lean on you. They got to lean on you and say research has shown, and I know studies.
Yeah, no, I know what it is because I wrote the curriculum.
You did it.
Right. So now I'm saying, no, it's not theory. If you put the children in the heart of the learning, if you put the children in the pages of the book, then Jamal, let's go back to your initial statement. So now, Jamal, now I can talk realistically about a youngster having aspirations to go into finance because he sees that the finance is a part of his DNA. Yes. He sees that the finance flows through his veins. So anything science, anything mathematics, he sees that, oh, I am that. It's not something foreign to me. It's something that ancestrally speaking, my folks, my people spread this throughout the world, right? So, but if I don't have that level of education, whether it be in the school, home, community,
church, wherever it is.
Church, wherever it is, but it has to happen because something's got to offset the, where's that book? Yeah, here it is. Something's got to offset the miseducation of the Negro, as the title is called, but I'll say of the Black child. Something's got to counter the miseducation of our young people, or we're going to be having these same conversations ad infinitum. Exactly. And with that said,
that's what you said. That's why we got to focus on these babies. If all of us, if we stop looking at each other and adults and focusing on us and the adults and start thinking about these kids, we got to get more intentional. We got to, like you said, start educating them. We got to start educating them in innovative and non-traditional ways. Yeah. It's not going to be in the classroom. We already know that, right?
But you know something Jamal said, I think it was Jamal. And then I know you reinforced it, Dr. Chester. That bold, courageous leadership. See, let me just say this, and I promise I'm gonna stop. See, I went in there with a spine, and it's not just that particular school. It's every school I led. I led 4, right? And every classroom I taught, I went in there with backbone and spine. But there's a reason, because see, a lot of people talk about, oh man, I can't deal with this man. It's so oppressive and all that kind of stuff. But see, you're not going to be able to run me out of town. And when I leave, it's because I made the decision I want to leave and do what I'm doing now because I wanted the world, right? Point blank, I wanted the world, right? But you can't run me out of town. So here's the thing. Because I had read all these books before I started teaching, and then because I went to the Million Man March on October 16, 1995, while I was teaching, because I was still a 5th grade teacher. You can't bring that stuff to me and I'm gonna cave in. I'm gonna back down, right? I'm not going to do it because I'm too grounded. I'm too rooted. I'm too planted, right? I may maneuver differently, but I ain't running. Because when them kids is in my classroom, meaning when I'm teaching, or when they're in my school, meaning that front door, when they inside, no, this is mine. These my babies, right? So therefore, you're not gonna be miseducated on my watch. You're not gonna graduate from me, go through the world, and I know that we didn't properly educate you. We're not doing it. So I'm saying, therefore, as teacher, as leader, as counselor, as social worker, and all them other titles in the school, you got to go in there with backbone and spine. How dare you celebrate Harriet Tubman, right? How dare you celebrate Sojourner Truth? How dare you celebrate Mandela, Jamil El-Amin, who was H. Rap Brown? I can go on and on, right? How dare you celebrate these people? But then you go into your world and you opposite that, right? Like you don't bring the same fire that they brought, right? You don't bring the same, to use One's word, the same courage that they brought. You celebrate these people, you quote these people, but you don't walk like these people. And see, I wasn't going to be that person. If I'm gonna read all these books about all these people, then you better best believe that's what you're going to see in me when you see me in that school. That's my point. Kaomba, creativity.
Let me say something on that. All right. So
yeah, floor is yours.
Yeah, you're right, because when you make a decision to do anything, and that's just in life, it's gonna be oppression. Like when I got back up and figured out my life after I lost my sight, I'm the only black blind person that's in the college. I'm the only black blind person in these conferences, in these rooms, and I'm the only black blind person going out and doing things. And the first thing they saying is, "Why are you here? You don't belong here. Go back home. Shouldn't you be home collecting Social Security?" Like they saying these things to my face. Like I had professors say, "Jamal, you're not going to succeed here. Go home." And just think about that. I just lost my sight. I'm trying to do something better.
Yeah.
And they telling me to my face, like, leave.
Wow.
Like,
but look
and
at
it called me, exactly. It threw me off. But so that's going to come everywhere you go. It's going to be some oppression. They never going to want us to succeed. That's why we have to figure out creative ways on how to succeed, to show them that we here to stay. We're going to, just like you was talking about Nelson Mandela, Martin Luther King, Malcolm X. Like, if they would have gave up, where would we be now?
What you said, that there's always going to be opposition, no matter.
Always going to be opposition.
People, things, situations, circumstances. There's always going to be opposition. But do you have the courage, as Dr. One said, to push through? Do you have the courage to make impact? Do you have the courage? Do you have the discipline? That's one that we haven't said, but that's what Principal Kafele was talking about when he talked about to not mess up your brand. Yeah. You have the discipline to not mess up your brand. And so, Dr. Renee, I'm going to send it to you. And then after you, we'll come back around for a final thought. So something you want to add?
Yeah. So creativity is one thing, but creativity out of survival is another. And I think, so we're talking about 1966, we're talking about the 60s, and this concept of Kwanzaa and creativity. Right. And you have to think about why this is being created. It's being created out of survival. It's not just symbolic. It's actual survival. Like what happens when you have to be creative to live? What happens when you have to be creative to even survive?
Right.
Right. And so you see them creating institutions out of sheer survival. Right. Like I have to be creative. Like you even thinking about the music from the 60s. Think about how creativity became that actual soundtrack. When you hear James Brown sound Black and I'm Proud, that's more than just a song on wax, right? He's making a statement that this type of creativity lends itself to my actual survival, me being Black and proud, right? And all these different things. Sam Cooke saying a change is going to come. What's he talking about here? He's talking about we need the type of creativity that lends itself to our survival. So they went into strategy mode, building Black institutions, building freedom schools, building Black theaters, building Black studies programs out of sheer survival. My question is, we are in the same survival mode today, but we're not creating. Like, it's as if we think that they just needed to create then. And I'm saying, no, we're in the same situation now. Our rights are being pushed back 150 years or more right now as we speak, while we're on this program.
That's right.
Our rights are being pushed back 150 to 200 years. And my question is, why are we not in creative mode like they were in the 60s? Right? And so creativity wasn't just self-expression, it was self-determination. Right? It wasn't just about expressing that we're going to be creative, that we're going to have this type of responsibility, but it was about actually creating something from that creativity that our children can attend, even when we're gone. Right? And so that's so this creativity actually became, somewhat of a response to cultural theft and misrepresentation. So what happens when you're dealing with cultural theft and misrepresentation, and you have to be creative in order to create institutions that your children need after going through the theft? And so that's what I saw. That's why this is my favorite one, because like I said, it brings everybody to the carpet. It brings you front and center. You don't get to skate. You don't get to go around. You don't get to make excuses.
Because your creativity, Dr. O'Neill, their creativity might simply be just doing something with the neighborhood kids.
Yeah. And that's still good. And that's
impact.
That's impact.
I think that's one of the problems. I think you alluded to it earlier. I think you said something about, it was either you or Principal Kafele watching everybody else. I think it was you watching other people. You get distracted from what your purpose is, what you're supposed to be doing, because you worried about what everybody else doing. And I think, because I remember somebody putting that stay in your lane. Like, there, each piece, I think we talked about, I said each piece on the chessboard, somebody said, what's the most important piece? Each piece is important. Everybody is equally important. We have to get past those ideologies, those ideals of wanting to be the most important and being the one that's the top and being the one that this and that. Because like he said, when they were asking about why you ain't doing no girls program, why you not doing it? Why you want me to do it? Why is it my responsibility? Well, I'm doing my part. I'm helping Black boys. And so you have so many people, and that's often the case. The people who are doing most of the talking are the people who are doing the least.
Yeah, absolutely.
They distract us from the work that we doing, having to address the idiocy a lot of times.
Creativity says, if the world won't make room for us, we'll build the rooms ourselves.
Yeah.
Right. And so that creativity is needed just for our actual survival. And that's what I'm trying to preach every day and get people to see, that we are at war. It's as if we don't see that we are we're at war. They're not killing us necessarily with the gun. They're doing that too, but they're killing us with the pen. We're at a war where we're being killed with the pen. And it's as if we don't see it, that we still need to be out here building. So what I'm taking all over the country, especially when I'm doing conferences, is we got to get back to the Saturday school model. In my opinion, that is the best chance for our children, is the Saturday school model, the freedom school model. Because if they can't get it Monday through Friday, somebody has to give it to them on Saturday and Sunday. And what I'm saying is, there should not be an institution that does not meet with its youth once a quarter. I mean, if you can't meet with your youth 4 times a year, you need to close your doors because you're not doing anything. And so what I'm taking into these conferences is, we need more people creating Saturday schools. We got to get back to what the elders did, right? We got to go back to what they did well. And what they did well was when they brought those children together on Saturday, on Sunday, they didn't just teach them about Moses, they taught them math. They didn't just teach them about Sarah, they taught them science, right? They gave them the life skills. And that's what our students need, is this particular type of life skill that's going to take them into the future. And so creativity was not just symbolic, it was actual survival.
I know Dr. Barfield, you said last night about the mindset about has been lost in parents. But I beg to differ a little bit because like we've been saying, we've always had those distant parents. We've always had those non-participatory parents. Now I would say the numbers may be higher, right? But then again, we have to start looking again at us and the generation before us and say, why is that? Why are there more parents disengaged? Why are there more that are not engaged in their child's learning? Right? Because it's always been, my mom ain't never come to the school. My mom ain't never been to nothing that I had at no school up until I got my first degree. She didn't do nothing with school. She didn't check my homework. She didn't ask me about school. None of that. I got to college because I went to a program called Upward Bound because I went to a meeting and signed my own paperwork and asked my mom, will you put me in Upward Bound? And Upward Bound is who did my financial aid paperwork and my scholarship paperwork to give me the Dr. Mary McLeod, the Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune scholarship that I took to FAMU. So it ain't changed. Parents have, and I lived in the projects where a whole lot of parents, they were just like my mom, right? Fortunately, I was one of the only ones that finished junior high because most of my peers didn't finish junior high where I grew up at. They didn't finish, that's 7th, 8th, 9th grade for those that may not know. They didn't finish junior high. So that means they mamas and daddies and people wasn't there either because it was a whole project I grew up in. And it ain't changed. What has changed is the empathy and the village mentality of the collective. That's what's changed. That's what's changed.
One of the things I pretty much obsess over is when you look at the history of America and the understanding of our plight as a people, the various movements that came out of that over the generations up until the civil rights and the Black Power movements of the 70s, right? Well, I'm always thinking about this document that I read many years ago, and I refer back to it from time to time, called the Freedom of Information Act of 1978. And in the Freedom of Information Act of 1978, there's this section on the counterintelligence program under the FBI, COINTELPRO. And it says in part, civil rights organizations can never be allowed to coalesce again because they understood the significance of those organizations coming together as opposed to operating in isolation from one another. It said, another Malcolm can never emerge. Another King can never emerge. Another Elijah Muhammad can never reemerge. Another Stokely Carmichael, who became Kwame Ture, can never reemerge. So it was documented and it was released in that Freedom of Information Act in 1978 that there cannot be replications of these leaders and there cannot be a coalescing of the various different organizations. So when I look at that, when I reflect upon it, and then I think about or observe the disconnect between the current generation and generations before, because this generation here, unless they're exposed to people that give them the exposure, they really don't know. Like I won't even go far back. They really don't know the 70s, the 60s. In fact, they don't even know the 80s outside of New Edition, right? So it's like they don't know that exists. They don't know that struggle actually existed, and now they will eventually have a role to play because it hasn't been taught, right? And there's so much more I could say about that, but it would be so off topic, so I won't. So, but the bottom line is the disconnect. It's there. So you got kids walking around. I hate to use this language, but I guess I use it so much I don't hate it that bad. You got kids and adults walking around as walking zombies as it relates to who they are and what they're connected to. They don't know. So I don't have high expectation for young people and adults that do not know, who lack awareness. Why am I expecting highly of you if you are so cut off from your root? right, from your base, right? You don't have that connection. So when you see me, particularly if I'm dressed in garb, then I'm strange to you, right? My name might be strange to you, right? All that kind of my conversation might be strange to you because I'm talking about black survival, black growth and development, etc. But that's not your world, right? In terms of the consciousness. So full circle on this platform tonight, until that becomes our reality, and I don't know when it's going to become our reality. I don't meet too many teachers.
Oh,
Oh, you got
President,
the son over
I want to interject. This is Alexander. This is my youngest. This is the 13-year-old
there.
now.
What's
So you
going
were
on, sir?
ask Alex what music does he listen to? Ask him who does he listen to?
What you listening to?
R&B.
What kind of R&B?
I don't know, Dan Caesar, Brent Fayez.
What's some old school stuff you listen to?
I don't know.
Oh, what you be playing though? What's the white man you be playing?
Billy Joel or Frank Sinatra?
Frank Sinatra. What else?
Billy Joel.
What R&B old school?
Old school?
Yeah, like my age. Who you can listen to? Groups.
Groups? Who?
I don't know. You tell me.
I don't know.
He listens to all R&B, like new and old. He listens to Frank Sinatra. He likes Frank Sinatra. I don't know.
Well, you remember meeting me years ago?
Yes.
So
You came in my session and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Well, let me tell you something right quick since you on here. This is for the audience too, but I'm gonna holler at you since you here. Frank Sinatra. What you know about him beyond the music?
Not much. I just know that one story about his kid when his kid got kidnapped. That's about it.
Well, let me tell you this. Hear me well. Don't lose this for the rest of your life. You know, Las Vegas is a popular place, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. Everybody goes there. Well, you know, vacation, the gamble, see shows, all that kind of stuff. Well, you had all these black entertainers. One. I'm just going to talk about one since it's 9:30. I want to talk about Sammy Davis Jr. right quick in relationship to Frank Sinatra. Have you ever heard of Sammy Davis Jr.?
No.
Well, do me a favor. Google him when we get off, right? He's one of the greatest entertainers to ever live in America, right? Sammy Davis Jr., one of the greatest. So him and Frank Sinatra and another one named Dean Martin, he's a white guy. They were tight.
Dean.
But see, back before the civil rights movement and during the civil rights movement, as liberal as Las Vegas may seem, if you were black, you can entertain at any of the hotels in Las Vegas, right? If you were black, but you could not go into the casino, you could not go into the restaurant, and you could not stay in the hotel, which is all of that's in the same building. So one of the most famous hotels at that time is still there, but it's not as famous, was a hotel called the Flamingo. And Sammy Davis Jr. was one of the top acts. But in order to come in, he had to go through the back door, through the kitchen to get to the stage because he was black. He was not allowed to walk through the front entrance. Now, what's this got to do with Frank Sinatra? Frank Sinatra stood up for him, and at various different places. Yeah. Frank Sinatra said, if you don't allow Sammy Davis to be treated like everybody else, then I'm out. I'm gone. I'm not performing. And see, that's the part of Frank Sinatra that some people are not even aware of, that this man stood up for his black friend, Sammy Davis Jr., right? But there's so many other Vegas stories, but we ain't got time to talk about all that. But here's my homework assignment for you. I want you to Google Sammy Davis Jr., right? Then while you're there, Google Nat King Cole, right? And there's a few others, but then I want you to Google them in the context of Las Vegas.
Los Angeles and Frank.
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas.
I want you to Google them in that context. Those black entertainers had to travel to what's called West Vegas because there were literally black-owned hotels back in those days. We're talking 50s now. And they had to stay there instead of staying at the hotel upon which they were singing, right? So that's important. That's my homework assignment to you. I'm like serious, right? So make sure go on and Google that and check it out, so you'll have that information, because that's
make sure he has it, because he loves Frank Sinatra. He's always
yeah.
listening. That's his, yeah.
So bring them back. So you like that song New York? They played at a Yankee Stadium when the Yankees win.
What's your team? What's your favorite?
Dodgers.
Oh, he liked the Dodgers.
Oh,
You know, I played baseball.
Hang on, you can't leave, man. You can't. Hang on. You can't leave.
The Dodgers.
You know what that is, though?
Of course.
Tell me what's that?
Jackie Robinson.
That's right.
Brooklyn Dodgers.
That's right. That's right. Number 42. One of the baddest ones that ever lace them up.
You know how hard it'd be to get that number?
That's right. You can't. It's retired in every stadium in America.
Yes, sir.
So don't leave. I got one more. I know we live, but hang on. I'm a teacher. You may not know the word Baruti. It means teacher. It comes from Botswana. Do you know this hat?
Kansas City.
I want you to Google this. This is the Kansas City Monarchs.
Is that a Negro League team?
Yes.
That's right. Satchel Paige.
I bought him a big poster. He has a poster with all the Negro Leagues, so he'll go see it. He never paid attention. He has all the teams on his thing.
Yeah,
but they're
you gotta know this. I mean, it's more than just. Oh, okay. Satchel Paige is where I was going, but I got something better for you. Jackie Robinson played for the Kansas City Monarchs. So Jackie Robinson played for Kansas City in 1945. In 1946, he played for the farm team of the Dodgers, which was known as the Montreal Royals. Mm-hmm. And then from there, he went to the Dodgers because he was now in their system through the minor league team in 1946. So then in 1947, then he becomes a Dodger and he's Rookie of the Year. But he rocked this first. Negro Leagues, number 4. What was his number? I forget his number at the time. But this is the hat they wore. All right, I'm done. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
I'm a teacher, man. That's what I do.
Yeah, so that's baby boy there. You know, he tries to stay up to midnight so we can drink our sparkling juice. That's
Love
what we do for you.
Love it.
Yes, loving the creativity. Well, so we're gonna thank you for that lesson, though. That was an important lesson, and I think everyone got where we were going with this creativity. And we were talking about Dr. Onay's Saturday schools. Dr. Onay, you know, I'm gonna challenge you with the creativity. I know you're saying that's the model, but I think what has to happen in today, and this could be something easy as school and other platforms, but you're bringing on, you can create a Saturday school platform in school, and people can bring in their curriculums, the things that they bring that they are experts on, to be able to have people come in and sign up and attend those classes.
Yeah, digital. That digital space is definitely, yeah.
Digital and you know, video. You're doing this too. This interaction.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So that's something to think about. So closing words. We're gonna start with you, Jamal. Then you, Principal Kafele, and let you close us out, Dr. Onay. Jamal, closing thoughts. Closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts. All right, what I'm getting from this conversation is that a lot of our people can see, but they stay blind. They still blind in the sense of they don't see where they're going. They don't see what they want to do. They don't see how they're going to leave their imprint on this earth and our community and our people. So my last words is that a lot of our people, we got to open our eyes and start impacting each other and helping us get to the next level. If one of us win, we all got to win.
Thank you. That was good. Thank you, little brother. All right, Jamal.
Oh, it's me.
You want me to let Dr. Onay go and then you?
No, let them close. Parting words, just whomever's out there and whomever will see the video, take them 7 principles seriously. Even if you don't celebrate Kwanzaa per se, who could say anything bad about unity, self-determination, collective work and responsibility, cooperative economics, purpose, kaumba, imani, faith. Who could run away from that? Who could say anything bad about that? So if one is of the mindset, I don't get into holidays and rituals and all that kind of thing, it's all good. It's fine. But take those 7 principles, Umoja, Kujichagaleo, Ujimo, Jama, Nia, Kaumba, Imani. I say them quicker in Kiswahili than English. Then just take those and keep them close to the vest. Keep them in your heart and live them. But even more importantly, pass them down.
That's right.
Pass them down.
Yes, them down.
Babies need to be informed. I'm good.
Yes. Thank you, Principal Kafele.
Thanks.
You know, I'm gonna do better next year. I'm gonna make Alex behind watch with me. I'll never make him watch, but I'm gonna make him watch. You're right. I've been doing this for 4 years.
Yeah.
Next time he is doing it with me.
There you go.
Dr. O'Neill.
So I'm going to leave you with a scholar by the name of Dr. Howard Thurman, who was mentor of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And his quote was, "Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive and go do it. Because what the world needs is more people that have come alive." He says, don't ask what the world needs. Ask. He says, don't ask. He says, go do it. Because what the world needs is more people that have come alive. So when we think about creativity, I want to leave us with this. In the 60s, Kuumba helped us survive systems that didn't want us here. In the future, Kuumba must help us design systems that no longer need permission to exist. That is what I want to leave us with. We have to create systems that we no longer need permission to exist, to build, and to create.
Get that, guys. That's Kuumba. That's creativity. I don't know what you thought it was going to be, but this is what it is. And so hopefully you've enjoyed the last 6 nights. We are on our final night tomorrow. Principal Kafele will be back with us, and we'll have Mr. Terrence, who is he's out of Tallahassee, so he'll be here. Terrence Barber. He's an entrepreneur and realtor. And we'll also have Miss Simone Nicholas from Off School Grounds Coalition, known as OSG. We call her the Lioness, my big sister. And so they'll be joining me with Faith. And I think y'all listen, that Lioness, that thing, that'll take you to church. She opens up the spirit. She's anointed. I'm gonna leave it there, Principal Kafele. You're going to enjoy her tomorrow.
Yeah.
So excited about the conversation. And so again, tomorrow's our final day. Thank you all so much for tuning in these first 6 days, and we look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And again, Habari Ghani, and enjoy the rest of the night.
All right.
President Kafele will close us out tomorrow night.
Yeah.
There is a closeout. And so we look forward to the conversation. See you all tomorrow.